Welcome to another edition of the ISB podcast, finishing up the Copa America quarterfinals. I'm your host, Sahil, here with Rahi today. We will have a special appearance from Roy, but he won't be joining on this particular portion. We'll hear him at the end. Let's get into what the matches that we had for the day were. Colombia versus Panama and Uruguay versus Brazil. We'll get to Uruguay versus Brazil in a second, but let's first start off with Colombia versus Panama. And this one wasn't close.
It was not close. It was not close. But can we say one thing, which is one team today actually played this sport we love? One team actually played the beautiful game in a beautiful way. And that team was Colombia. They looked fantastic as they have this entire tournament. They have looked better than any other team in this tournament. And it all starts with the man who doesn't even play for his club, James Rodriguez. This is giving me shades of that Colombia team with Valderrama, El Pibe. I mean, this is vintage stuff. What a great Colombian performance.
It's very funny because, coming into the match, of course, Panama eliminated the United States of America, who we just may support in world football, but that's something we're not getting into. But what we are getting into is that this Panamanian team came in there and it wasn't much of a contest.
It wasn't much of a contest, and they were still without their best player, Carrasquilla. In the end, it never was going to be a contest. For Panama's sake, maybe you thought they might have kept it tight early on. That could have helped them a little bit. But when you give up an early goal in the 8th minute, it's only downhill from there. Never really looked like a game.
Yeah, and then of course they give up a penalty a few minutes later, and then after that, it just if you get down by a few goals against Colombia, it's you're in trouble because then it opens up, you create space for their midfielders, and then it becomes the James and Luis Diaz show, and then you're pretty much done after that.
Yeah, and the way they give up the goals, right? I mean, off a set piece, it's you can't give up goals like that to a team that is going to create chances, right? So the goals were, if you're Panama, you have to be better at defending simple situations because Colombia is going to take complicated situations and make them simple. They're going to attack, and to give up soft goals the way Panama did, you have to feel that there was never a chance for this team based on the way they defended.
Yeah, so I don't think there's much more to talk about. We've been saying from the beginning in the videos that I've been putting out there that Colombia is the best team in Copa America, in my opinion. I don't
The
if this
best team,
doesn't if
100%. I agree with you.
if this doesn't cement that, I don't know what else you need because this was a quarterfinal match and it wasn't even close. So yeah, and as you said, the reemergence of James Rodriguez, and it's interesting because it's also giving me shades of that World Cup where he was a breakout
Yep,
star, and we'll get to it in a second where he'll be playing the team that he actually played in the
that is
knockout
correct.
phase. So we'll see how that goes. But let's start it off to see how they got there, and it was I don't know what to call this match. There was some football/soccer being played somewhere in there. I don't even know.
No, very, very, very little. Extremely disappointing match. You think about these two teams, you think about the history that these teams have. You think about this is going to be an incredible game, mouth-watering matchup. Uruguay, Brazil wasn't even a game. Neither team played anything. Neither team played the sport like I'm talking about. I mean, all that we saw was tackle after tackle, foul after foul, mostly from Uruguay, fouling Brazilians. But when Brazil did have the ball, when they were given time on the ball, they decided to pass it out of bounds, pass it backwards, pass it to anyone but their teammates. In the end, it was a Brazilian team that didn't really know how to connect passes together. It looked very, very ordinary, and an Uruguay team that had decided they weren't going to play football, that they were going to foul, they're going to disrupt. That's all they were going to do. And in the end, that strategy won out, I guess.
Yeah, I thought the Brazilian penalties also the ones that were
Yeah.
missed they weren't up to par. Frankly, there was an Uruguayan penalty by our Jimenez, a staple of the team that wasn't up to par. Overall, it just wasn't a well played match.
No, it wasn't. And to be honest, I know we've heard a lot about Uruguay and Bielsa ball. Bielsa has changed the way they're more attacking. They're different. They high press. They didn't do that today, right? So this is, for anyone who's watched Uruguay over the years, this was traditional Uruguay. This was garra charrua. This was, fighting and clawing. And this is how they've played for years and years and years. This is what they do in these big games. They will foul. They'll find all the little moments, the little advantages to get ahead. And it's incredibly intelligent, just not the most fun to watch. But if you remember the last time they won this tournament in 2011, they had a very similar game against Argentina. They also went down a man and they won in penalties. It was a very similar sort of situation. And in the end, this is an Uruguay that we've seen over and over and over again. So I know we've heard a lot about how Bielsa has changed things. I didn't see that today. I saw the same Uruguay that I know, the Uruguay that I've seen for many years, that sits back, that at times used to play with only defensive midfielders, Arevalo Rias and Russo Perez. You remember that was the midfield, that Maxi Pereira. This is no different. This is traditional Uruguay.
Okay, and then just a finishing thought on Brazil. We're gonna hear from our resident Argentino Roy to end this video. But any quick thoughts on Brazil as they get out of the tournament?
Yeah, it's not something that's surprising when you consider the form they've been in qualifying. They sit at the bottom of the potential qualification spots. They haven't been good for a while. So now they come into this tournament and you were just hoping, would we see them emerge? But it really is a pipe dream because they haven't done it, right? And they're missing any cohesive play through the midfield. Defensively, they're fine. Militao, they have players, Marquinhos. Up front, Vini wasn't there today, but they have Rodrigo. In the middle is really where things fall apart for Brazil. Luis Paquetá did absolutely nothing. There was very little connection, so there was no movement through the midfield. So you have these attackers that can be dangerous, but nobody to get the ball to them. So ultimately, it looks like it did, which is when Endrick gets the ball, he's three people around him. There was nothing that they could do because the midfield was completely non-existent. And I don't see where this Brazil team goes, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought they actually played worse when they're up a man, as well in this match. So a lot to, do for Brazil. Okay, for those of you out there enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Let's see if Roycito agrees with Rahi about Bielsa, and let's see if he agrees with him on Brazil. Let's go to our resident Argentina. We'll end there. See you all next time. Anything more to add, Rahi?
I'm sure he probably is not going to agree with me, but I'm sure whatever he's about to say to you is entirely and absolutely incorrect.
All right, let's check it out.
Hello, fans of the International Soccer Break YouTube channel. First of all, I wanted to apologize that you're stuck with these two funky lads today, Rocky and Soccer. I apologize I couldn't make it to analyze the Uruguay-Brazil game. This was a prison fight. This wasn't a football match. This was anything but a match of football. The thing is, we didn't get to see a beautiful game, but is Brazil even capable of a beautiful game anymore? They look more like England than Brazil's of the past years, of the 90s, of the 80s, of the early 2000s, of the Ronaldinho days, of the Ronaldo days, the R9, oh my God, even Adriano. I miss the old Brazils. This is not that team. What is the next step? Are they going to go back to that team? Are they going to bring on a coach that's going to implement that style once again, the Joga Bonito? Because today we are in Joga Feo. And this game today was definitely a Joga Feo. It was dirty. It was messy. There wasn't any fluidity from either side, but the smarter team came out on top. The better coach came out on top. Bielsa did what Bielsa does best, and he hounded every single Brazilian player the second they touched the ball. And that is Bielsa style. The second Endrick got the ball, what happened? He had three players on him. Tugging at his shirt, clipping at his heels, tapping his Achilles. That was insanity. It's insanity to play a game like that. Can you imagine? Imagine yourself on a soccer field. You collect the ball, you go to dribble, you're immediately swiped in the ankle. You're immediately pulled in the back of the shirt. You're immediately elbowed in the rib. That's what Brazil had to deal with today. So on top of losing their Joga Bonito, they were forced to release the ball quicker than they're used to. They were forced to give a bunch of long balls. Endrick couldn't find his way in the game. He kept moving laterally to try to possess the ball, to try to win the ball. You didn't see any of that magic that you see in the Brazilian league with Endrick. You didn't see any of the magic with Rodrigo. You didn't see any of the magic with any other player on the field. So this was a Bielsa masterclass. Even when Brazil went up a man, or when Uruguay went down a man, what happened? I didn't see Brazil pick it up a notch. I didn't see the game change. I didn't see Brazil get more chances. I didn't see them get hungry. I didn't see them get more desperate. I didn't see anything. I saw them stay the same. And what is the same? It was ineffective. Very ineffective from Brazil. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of their coach. And let's see what happens, my friends. But this was not the Brazil we grew up loving. We grew up being afraid of. We grew up being terrified of. We grew up looking forward to their matches. This is not must-watch soccer anymore, my friends. I'm very sorry to say it, but we got Uruguay going forward. Vamos. Vamos, Uruguay.